Hello students. Today we are going to look at the topic recursion, which is there in class 11th and 12th ISC, and most of the students are having problem in recursion. So let's have a look at how to do the programs in recursion and what is basically recursion. See, recursion is a process in which a function will call itself repeatedly till a condition becomes false without the use of looping or iteration. You will not have to use any while, for, or do while. Instead, the function will call itself repeatedly till the base case is true. What is a base case and a recursive case? Let's have a look. If suppose we have to print first 10 natural numbers starting with 1. Generally, in for loop or in while loop, we use for I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 10, I plus plus. And then we directly write system.out.println I. When does this loop finish off? When I becomes 11. We already know, like when I is 1, 1 is less than equal to 10, it will come inside and print 1. After that, I will become 2, 2 less than equal to 10. Again true, it will come inside and print 2. Similarly, it will keep on printing 3, then 4, then 5. Till 10 it is going to print. When it goes back to the update expression and becomes 11, 11 less than equal to 10 is a false condition, then it stops. Same process we have to apply in recursive function, in which we do not have to use either for, while or do while. Suppose this is my function int sum, which is having a value int I, and i's initial value is how much? 1. I am considering it to be 1. Now my base case is actually the stopping case or the terminating case, which says when this condition turns out to be true, then the program will completely stop, the function will completely stop, and our purpose will be fulfilled. So I am saying if I is equal to 10, instead of int I will write here void, because we are going to print the numbers as it is. If I is equal to 10, if I is equal to 11, return. Else system.out.println I, and then we'll call this function sum by sending I plus 1. Now what will happen? We can also write return, but actually return sum means some value has to be returned. This simple return means void type of functions they can always write return simple just to say or indicate that the function has stopped. So we can just directly call the function here. Now how does it execute? I is 1, 1 is equal to 11, no. System.out.println is going to print 1 on the screen. Then we are calling some function and sending I plus 1. That means we are sending 2. It will re-enter with the new value of 2. 2 is equal to 11 is a false condition. Again it will come to the else part and print 2. Then again it will call itself and 3 will be sent. Because presently the value of I that has entered inside was 2. So 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 will be re-entering into the function. 3 is equal to 11. Is a false condition. Then it will come to the else part and print here 3. Now it will keep on doing this process till it becomes 11. When it will re-enter with the value 11 for the last time. I is equal to 11. Return means go back to main, because till that time all the 10 values have been printed on the screen. Now let us look on how to create a recursive function to calculate factorial of a number. So let's have a look. If suppose we have to calculate factorial of a number, this is a function int fact which is having a value in 10. So here our terminating case will be if n is 0, then return 1. Because we all know that the factorial of 0 is always 1. Else, if it is not so, Then we'll do what? We'll write return n plus, then call fact function and send n minus 1. N into, sorry. It's a multiplication thing. Now how does this execute? Suppose this is 5. Let's take an example of a number. If it is 5, 5 is equal to 0. No. It will come to this recursive part. So take care and remember this thing, that this first condition in which the final value return 1 has been written and in which the function is not calling itself is a base case or the terminating case which will be executed at the last to terminate the function. Otherwise it will come to the else part. So return may n into. In recursive functions, a stack memory is always ready in the memory which stores the values till the recursive function is calling itself. So n into means 5 will be kept here with a multiplication sign outside. Why? Because multiplication is a binary operator. It requires two variables or two values to multiply. Then fact will call itself and decrease the value of 5 by 4 and send 4 inside. Coming inside 4 is equal to 0 is a false condition. Again it will keep 4 into the stack memory, and since now two values are present, so a total of 20 will be sitting in the stack memory with a multiplication operator outside waiting for the next variable to multiply with. Then fact will call itself and send 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 will reach over here, come inside. 3 is 0? No. Again it will come here, n into. That means 3. So now 20 into 3, again because a binary operator is there, 60 will be waiting inside the memory. This is 60, but fact will call itself and the value of n was 3. So 3 minus 1 will become 2. 2 will re-enter inside the function. 2 is equal to 0 is a false condition. It will not return 1. It will come to the recursive case again, n into. That means 60 into 2. 120 will be there in the memory waiting for the next operand. Then after that, fact will call itself by sending 2 minus 1, 1. 1 is equal to 0 is a false condition. So n into means 1 into. So 120 into 1 is 120 waiting in the memory. 1 minus 1 is now 0, which will re-enter, and now the base case or the terminating case is true. Since n is 0, it will return 1. Where will this 1 go? This one will go to the recursive case because the recursive case was calling the function. So the answer naturally will go to the recursive case only, where 120 will be multiplied with 1 and finally it will go back to main function where it was called. So you should know how to make a recursive function. Now most of you will be asking how to make main in such programs. So let's see how to make main in such programs. This factorial function, if I have to create public static void main string args, I will be using scanner in order to take a number from the user. New scanner system.in. Now I'll take n from the user. And suppose my class name here was factorial. So I'll be creating an object of factorial class. Factorial OB is equal to new factorial. Then we will be calling the function fact. Since it's a return type of function, so you can call in two ways. You can write system.out.println and with the help of this OB function, OB dot, you will be calling the function fact and sending the value of n. Automatically the value 120 calculated will return here and it will be printed. Or if you do not want to use this, you can keep a variable int a is equal to ob dot fact send the value of n. 120 will be returned in A, and with system.out.println you can print A. So this was on factorial. Now let's look at how to use a recursive function to calculate power of any number. So let's have a look at this. Now if suppose we are to enter two numbers and we have to calculate their power. That means we do not have to use math.pow. We have to create our own POW function. So int POW. Here we are going to receive two variables. Suppose this is n and this is p. N is the number and p is the power. And we have to keep on multiplying n till the length of the power. If power is 2, so 2 to the power 2 will give you 4. So here we will be checking if the power is 0, return 1. Why? 2 to the power 0 or 3 to the power 0 or 4 to the power 0 all return 1. Any number to the power 0 will always return 1. So if the power is 0 but natural, the answer will be 1. Otherwise it will come to the else part. And here it will return n into and call POW function and send the value plus the power will keep on decreasing till it becomes 0. Now let's see how it works. Suppose this is 2 and this is 5. 5 is equal to 0 is a false condition. So it will come to the recursive part, and here 2 will be kept in the memory with the operator waiting outside. POW will call itself recursively and send the value of 2 as it is, but the power now will decrease to 4. So now the value of P has become 4. Coming inside, P is equal to 4. 4 is 0. Is 4 0? No. So it will come inside to the recursive function, and n into means again 2 will be placed in the stack memory. So 2 into 2 will become 4 presently. Power will call itself and send 2 as it is, but the P will keep on decreasing. Now 4 minus 1 will become 3. So 3 will be sent over here. 3 0, no. Again it will come to the recursive part, n into. That means 2 into. The value of n is never changing. It is always 2. Keep this in mind. So 2 into 4 will become 8 presently, waiting with the operator outside. Now power will call itself and send 2 plus P minus 1 is how much? 3. 3 minus 1 is how much? 2. So 2 and 2. 2 is 0, no. Again it will come to the recursive part, and here n into. N is how much? 2 only. Then it will call power function. It will send 2. 2 minus 1 is how much? 1. It will come inside. Till that time 2 into 8 was 16 in the memory. So 1 is 0, no. Again n into. That means 2 will be kept in the stack memory again, which will turn out to be 32. Again power will call itself and 2 will be sent, but 1 minus 1 will become 0. For 0, the value returned is 1, which will again be received in the recursive case, so that finally 32 into 1 as a final answer, 32 will be returned in main. So this is a way to create a recursive function for power. In main, if you are creating main but natural using scanner, you will be taking n and p from the user. And since it's a return type of function, and first of all you will have to create the object for your class. Power OB is equal to new power. So with system.out.println we are going to call ob.pow and send n and p. Automatically the value will be printed here. This was on power. Let's see one more on Fibonacci, how to create a recursive function for Fibonacci. Fibonacci, you people must be aware what it is. Fibonacci series like 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Every third number is the sum of the previous two numbers. Like this third one is the sum of 1 and 0. 2 is a sum of 1 and 1. 3 is a sum of 2 and 1. So let's see how to make it. We'll be generating one term at a time of the Fibonacci series. One term at a time. Like we can return 0 from the function. We can return 1, then 2. We cannot generate all the series at a time in one go in the function. That will be that can also be done, but that will be a void type of function in which you will be printing inside. But for ISC and for other competitive exams, the loop will be running for the Fibonacci series in main, which will send one at a time the values to be printed, and one value at a time will be generated in the Fibo function. So this is the method which is very useful for competitive examinations and for 11th and 12th. So let's see. Here n has been received. We are checking if n is 1. Because we'll be sending from the for loop 1. From 1 till the limit we'll be running a loop. So if n is 1, we'll be returning 0. Because the first term of our series is 0. Then if 2 is being given into this function, we'll be returning 1. That is the second term of our Fibonacci series. But apart from this, if any other term is sent like 3 or 4 or 5, we'll have to use our recursive case. So these two are, in a way you can say, two terminating cases. And it is a binary type of recursion which will be seen in Fibonacci. We'll be writing return Fibo n minus 1 plus Fibo n minus 2. What's happening here? Suppose 3 was received over here and n was not 1, it was not 2. It will come to this part and Fibo function is calling itself twice recursively. But it doesn't mean that both of them will go in one go. First of all, this term will be executed till you get an answer over here. Then this recursive function will be executed till you get an answer over here. Both of them will be added and then the sum will be returned. So 3 minus 1 is what? 2. It will go inside this function. N is not 1 but it is 2. It will return 1 over here. So it will be kept in the memory here with a plus sign. Then Fibo will call itself again with 3 minus 2. What is the value of 3 minus 2? 1. So it will reach here with the value 1 and it will return 0 over here. Finally, the answer that you are getting here is 1, which is the third term of our Fibonacci series. If suppose 4 is being received over here, 4 is not 1, 4 is not 2. Fibo will call itself and n minus 1 means 4 minus 1 is what? 3. Now 3 is not being, it is not present in any of the cases. And for 3 presently we have already generated 1 as an answer, as I told you. So it will be doing what? It will send 3 over here. 3 is not 1, 3 is not 2. Then again 3 minus 1 will be received over here as 2 till you get an answer 1 over here. So it keeps on generating or calling itself repeatedly till you get an answer here. It will not go to this part. Then after you are getting an answer over here, Fibo will call itself with n minus 2. 4 minus 2 is how much? 2. For 2, you are getting an answer 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Right? That means Fibo n minus 1 will keep on calling itself till one of these cases is true. And then Fibo n minus 2 will be called and it will keep on calling itself till any of the cases is returned. Now suppose 5 is being given. Let's see that also. 5 minus 1 is 4. For 4, what did we get an answer over here? 2. Because you already know that 2 has been generated. So you will keep here 2. You need not work hard again because till 4 you have got the answers. Then FIBO 5 minus 2. 5 minus 2 is how much? 3. For 3 we got the answer as 1. So 2 plus 1 will become how much? 3, which will be the 5th number of our series. So you have to keep on calculating up till 4. After that, whatever numbers you are generating over here, you will keep on getting the answers. You can, now after this, 5 has got the term as 3. Now 6 is being sent over here, 6 minus 1 becomes 5. Now you already know that for 5, I have already generated a number 3. So just remember, you don't have to work hard anymore. So you will keep here 3. 6 minus 2 will give you how much? 4. For 4, what did we generate previously? 2. So 3 plus 2 will give you 5. So you have to keep on writing in your copy. That means for 0 you got, for 1 you got 0. For 2 you got 1. For 3, when we were calling these two, the 1 plus 0 was giving us 1. Then for 4, in 4 when we were sending 4 minus 1, 3. For 3 already we have got an answer 1. And then 4 minus 2 will give you 2. For 2 you are getting an answer 1. So you got 2 as an answer. But when you were sending here 5, 5 minus 1 is giving you 4. For 4 you already know what is the answer. You will write over here. Then 5 minus 2 will give you how much? 3. For 3 you already know what is the answer over here? 1. So you will write here 1 and you will get the 5th term of your Fibonacci. This way you can work out very quickly. And you sometimes you can get outputs on this also. Now as far as main is concerned for this program, in main we'll take a we'll run a loop after taking the limit. We have taken a limit here and we'll be creating our object. I didn't change the name of the class, it's okay. Power OB is equal to new power. Now we'll be running a for loop for I is equal to 1, I less than equal to n and I plus plus. And with SOPLN, we can call FIBO and send I. Right. So we have done 3 recursive programs in this session. What were they? Factorial, power. One was to generate first and natural numbers, and the Fibonacci. In the next session, we'll be coming up with sum of digits, prime number, special number, and so on. If you have understood this concept, you can press the like button and subscribe to our channel. We'll come up with more of our videos. Thank you.